We start off with statistics first. I unfortunately didn't get any citation statistics, but we do have traffic collisions reported for last month. We had a total of 33 reported. Of those 33, 15 were injury traffic collisions. 3 were reported as DUI with injury, and only one of those was a DUI property damage only. Those were fairly normal and actually pretty good. No fatal traffic collisions. There were a total of 12 DUI arrests during the April period. No other significant arrests at that time. And again, no citation statistics, but I did want to talk about the impending traffic issues that the Santa Clarita Valley and as well as adjacent areas will be suffering next Tuesday. Just a little warning for you all. As you may know, Tuesday and Wednesday, the tour of California is going to be coming through town. On Tuesday, it's actually going to be starting, the start point is in Antelope Valley, and it's going to come across from the Antelope Valley through Munns Road, and will be then impacting this area via all the canyon roads, as a matter of fact, except for Sierra Highway. So it'll take up Elizabeth Lake, it'll take up San Francisco, Lake Hughes, and also Bouquet. The intended route is actually the first stretch of it entering within this area is southbound on San Francisco. Their estimated times will be probably 12 to 12:15 that they'll be on that road. And during these time frames, the road will actually be closed out to all traffic. However, expect that there will only be short closures as the pack of bicyclists ride down these roads. Then once the last rider goes past, we will open up the roads immediately behind them.
And just to piggyback on the click it or ticket, because some people aren't aware apparently that there is a law, you wear seatbelts. Putting your seatbelt on as you're traveling down Agua Dulce or Escondido when I'm behind you does not relieve you of the responsibility that you have to be wearing a seatbelt. And I've said to several people as I pull up and they're like, yeah, we can see that. Yeah. You're just supposed to put on this and you were wearing it all the time. The other thing is, there's a warning too, because I know, talk to the CHP guys out here. Technically, it is not legal. We talked about riding golf carts. Well, guess what? If your golf cart is here and we stop it, and there's no seatbelts, you can get a no seatbelt ticket, even if your golf cart is not legal. So, don't be surprised if somebody does write a ticket for that, because if it's on the road, even though it's not a legal vehicle, it's required to have a seatbelt in it. So, just pointing those out because I like to warn people ahead of time so they can't say, we didn't hear. All right. On to the statistics. I know you guys just wait for that. All right, last month we had a total of 7 reports. So we had 9 the month before, we're down to 7. We had one, let's see, that wasn't identity theft, 2 petty thefts from a yard or an open vehicle, and 1 lost and found, and unfortunately 3 persons dead, unknown causes. So, and I hate to bring that up, but we actually had several more people pass. But the difference is when it's an unknown, usually, so anybody knows in case they see us, if somebody dies in their house and they've been seen by a doctor within the last 2 weeks, and the doctor says, yea, I shall sign the death certificate, then we just wait for mortuary to pick up whoever that is. If we don't find any medicines, no doctor to sign, or it's over 2 weeks, it now becomes a coroner's case and I have to write a report that says, I don't know what he died from or she died from, but they're dead. Homicide gets notified. It becomes a whole bigger issue. And it could have been a natural cause, but I'm not a coroner or a doctor, so I can't make, so I have to write a report. So that's why we have these, because we have a number of individuals who probably should see a doctor, who never go to a doctor, and then the family wonders, well, what happened? Well, that's what happened. So I'm just explain, unfortunately.
Well, the saga continues.
Yes.
Going to try to make it as brief as we can. I know you folks have got other business. Last Tuesday, we received notice from the group up in Hanford that has the big lawsuit against coming up May 31st, that there was another lawsuit pending, and this involved the Surface Transportation Board out of Washington, D.C. Apparently, the High Speed Rail Authority won an exemption from getting permits. And so we had until today to complete a petition, which we worked all last week, Kim and I and lots of volunteers. We got 695 signatures. It was overnighted yesterday to the Surface Transportation Board. I confirmed receipt that they got it, and it will be presented to the chairperson, and their lawsuit, or their, not lawsuit, I shouldn't call it that, their, what would we call that? I guess their review of why they should have this exemption takes place, I believe it was the 28th of May, off the top of my head. So we did get that done. We're here tonight with the map showing the 3 routes that we are aware of, which was SR 14 West, SR 14 East, and the hybrid.
I'll get to that in a second, but going back to the petitions, that cost, the overnight costs were $268 on that, and the printing costs were $100. So we're always looking for money or donations or volunteers for that too. So, and it is for the community to go back to the maps now, where the routes aren't really 100% where they're going to put them. And I don't know if that's intentional or if they're looking to see where the fight comes from the community or what, but Acton has 3 possible routes we're looking at, but in reviewing the maps, the information we just saw, the Soledad Canyon route is still on the books. So, which would go right through Acton. Unfortunately, Agua Dulce does not get away unscathed, as if anybody got a chance to look at the maps. It's easy to see, wherever you are, but the white line that you see traveling horizontally through there, that's the freeway. Okay, the train is just anywhere from 100 to a couple hundred feet south of that. And if you get a chance to look at the maps, wherever we may be or whatever, there's a lot of information. It takes a few minutes to look at it, but you'll see the words fill, cut, bored tunnel, viaduct. Those are the words that will be on top. Now the train is going to exit in Agua Dulce Canyon. Looking at this, it's going to be just a few feet, literally, east of Agua Dulce Canyon Road through a bored tunnel. So the train is supposed to travel every 6 to 12 minutes. And when it comes out and goes in, it's going to be like a little sonic boom. Everybody here knows the topography of the area. When you look at this, and when it exits Agua Dulce Canyon, and then Vasquez Rocks is right here in the middle. So you know it's an amphitheater. It's just, yeah, a wide open canyon. So this community might not have thought that it was going to affect them. So when we came here last time, we were asking for volunteers or help or whatever. But and just to reiterate what we might have talked about before in the way of the property values, a developer had pulled out of a 100-acre development that was by the school, and that was going to be homes. It was going to be people. It was going to be nice ranch homes that were going to be the area. When he knew this was coming through, he pulled out. So now who knows what it will be? And in turn, homes, as realtors are having to divulge, or people are finding out what's going, people are backing out, actually backing out of escrows and stuff. So this is going to be known as well, that it's passing through this community here. And some people, they might not think that it's going to, how the noise will affect or travel, but maybe I mean, I'm sure that somebody has hit the Jake brake or something on here, or they've heard something, so you can imagine how sand travels outside of just a normal drone with the traffic. And according to high-speed rail, it's supposed to travel every 6 to 12 minutes. We're in the process of getting some sound. We had a train sound that we played before, but we have someone that's a sound, not a sound engineer, but
Well, he's a professor at Cal Arts,
yeah.
and he specializes in designing amphitheaters, etc.
Yeah, so we got an excellent person that volunteered on board. So he's going to produce some sound that will be more actual to what we might encounter. So, which takes me to another point. If it isn't somebody here that can volunteer, maybe you know somebody that can help in some way or have a little bit of knowledge or whatever, can do something from home. And also, I believe it was in the paper where they were talking, a lot of people got a letter saying that they wanted to come onto the property. I'm sure most people know about that by now. But there's still amazingly people that say it will never be built. So it seems, and for the people that didn't remember last time, when we met with the lady representative from the state, she said, we are going to be very unhappy in 5 years. So, and that's somebody from the state. So whether or not it will be built, who knows? If these lawsuits succeed, no, it won't be built, but we can't wait for them. So we have to prepare. We're trying to let everybody know, and that's
You know, everyone says that it won't be built because of the money, right? But with the Chinese looking to fund as much as 60% of it, I don't think the money's going to be a problem anymore. So if people understand that, everyone that says it won't be built, they keep saying the state's broke, they won't have the money. But I think the money's not going to be a problem anymore now. It's going to be owned by the Chinese, basically.
Well, our governor went to
I
China
know.
and solicited the funds, and we've already known that the first phase, one of the contractors that won the first phase was Dianne Feinstein's husband.
Yes.
$989 million project. They had to change the requirements in order for him to be awarded it. He was the low bidder, but his technical score was supposed to be 70%. He was the lowest out of the 6 companies that are qualified to build this in the world.
And he's part owner in Tudor Perini is the company. It's not.
And Tudor Perini is known to underbid, and then they get the project, and there's cost overruns, and they get sued, and then they settle. And that's what they've done in like the last 7 or 8 projects, going back into the early 90s. And they're a huge company, and they can handle it. That's how they do business.
What do they consider the ridership? Because I know in Europe, they thought everybody was going to commute by these trains, and it's just the tourists that are using it.
It doesn't matter if there's only one person on the train. They want to build the train. They're going to build the train. Once they build the train, they fulfill their goal, and then maybe there'll be little arteries off of it or whatever. But you can have all the projections you want, but who's going to be able to pay? Who wants to pay $150 to go to Bakersfield? And granted, it ultimately goes to San Francisco, but it's cheaper to fly, and it's competing against the airplane. You just have to remember that. Competing against airplanes.
Is this really part of Agenda 21?
That's getting way deeper.
Agenda 21.
What's the agenda?
Well, I don't want to go into that tonight.
Sorry. You have to
research it, do your thing.
Research it on YouTube.
It's a United Nations agenda, and they're pushing it little by little with all these things. So, we're just losing local control of everything, and that's been going on for a long time.
And this here, the other thing is, so much of this money is just spent on quote-unquote engineering.
Yes,
And the engineering includes all I've been down to their meeting, down to their place in Los Angeles. And they have subterranean parking where it's valet parking, and then you go through a security guard who escorts you into the elevator, and you go up to the 5th floor, and here's this $1 million office, and and this is just in the outreach group. This isn't the engineer's station. And so, whether it's built or not, they want to get this thing as far as they can, because that's where the money's at, the easy money.
correct.
Is in this engineering portion. Exactly. The sad part is, once they draw the line on the map, it's on the map forever. And once it's on the map, just like this guy backing out, who's gonna risk buying 100 acres and spending, $20 million improving it with homes, thinking that this may come through, and if it comes through, how are you gonna sell these houses? So it's something where it's a blight on both communities. Yes, it's not going through the middle of Agua Dulce, but I can guarantee, he's right, it's like an amphitheater, that noise is gonna travel up that canyon. When winds blow out here a certain way, you can hear all the traffic on 14. So it's just something, depending on the temperature and the
Totally
winds.
right about that.
What's that?
You're totally right, there's times,
There's
I mean,
times-
I can hear
there's
the
times
train
that-
whistle.
Yeah,
It's
well, that's it too. So you
Yeah.
can imagine that train is down at the bottom of the canyon. Those sounds will come right up just like a trumpet,
And
and
the
something-
train whistle's kind of neat, many a great country song's written on that.
What a
This
day.
is, yeah, but not every 6 to 12 minutes.
Exactly, exactly.
Anyways, we got a couple more things.
I've got some more
Right,
points.
please.
To answer her question, it was recently announced by the High Speed Rail Authority that they've overestimated the ridership by 77%. They've now estimated that it will initially cost the California taxpayers $489 million a year, starting soon, to compensate for the loss of ridership. I attended a meeting in Santa Clarita last week, which was the government, what's it called? Government Affairs, do you know? I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry, I got so much up here in
Are
this
you
brain.
talking about the county?
No, the Santa Clarita Valley Government Breakfast Affairs, breakfast.
State of the,
Oh, state of the county with Mike and
State of the
Congress?
city.
He wasn't there, no. It's just Santa Clarita.
Okay,
I don't know what it's called, I'm sorry.
that's all right.
They are sending a group of people, 92 representatives from Santa Clarita, from all the government agencies and all Disney and everybody that is affected by the train. They're going to Washington DC on May 20th to lobby. This group has already been to Sacramento to lobby. I wish I had more information on it. I don't. I was contacted by
Because Disney's
Disney,
property,
that
Placer
new
Rita.
Disney ranch there.
off of Placer Rita. It's right under there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of businesses and people, New Home Ranch, everybody, all the big ones down there, they're all apparently sending representatives to Washington, which is awesome. I'd like everybody to keep in mind that we've got important lawsuits this month happening. The Prop 1A is on May 31st, starting in Sacramento. And then this one that I gave everybody the information on, which is the STB. You've got the letter that we wrote. I think we had a fabulous letter that went with the petition. I've got stacks of those petitions that I'm going to present to Antonovich's office, Buck McKeon's office, who's the other guy? Kevin?
Steve Knight.
Well, Steve Knight, but Kevin McCarthy, is that it? Okay. So we're going to make sure that all of our local politicians know what we've done. I wanted to say that one of the issues we had was trying to get our group organized and looking more professional. We now have a website manager. Yes, we had a website, but we now have a manager. She worked on it 3 hours today. She's going to maintain it, put all of the articles that we write that go to the Country Journal or the other papers, whatever we can find that looks important or should be out there for the community, the website will be up and going. The maps are available at my office by appointment, but I'm also willing to take them to other groups if people, Dale's way more authoritative on the maps than I am. I'm kind of the paperwork person, but I'm willing to bring them so that people can understand and see how this thing is going to go underground, where it comes out. It shows us on all of the maps. We've got Acton Dulce maps over there that we've routed the 3 routes on, but we've also been told by surveyors out in the community in Acton that there's possibly 8 routes. We don't know.
Yeah, that's why they haven't detailed them, they've
No.
done some broad scan, but nothing detailed.
They don't really know, and at this point, we have, if indeed it is going to stay on the maps and it is going to be built, we might have a chance to force them to stick it underground, so.
Yeah.
Are you aware that Darrell Issa, he's representative in San Diego, he was able to accomplish kicking it out of a certain area where I mean, how did he do it? I don't know, maybe we could find out.
Our group isn't trying to stop the train, we can't. We don't even, we don't really have, we don't have the volunteers and the money. If it's gonna be stopped, it'll be, as Pam mentioned, one of the lawsuits. I did host a dinner for the people up north at my house, and they came and they gave a good talk to the community, and people from Acton Dulce and Acton did come. But those will be the people that will stop it. But, and they have millions of dollars in it already just from people volunteering. But it's kind of frustrating because the judge never even, in the first case that was heard, never really took the time to hear it. You're battling a lot of corruption, you're battling a lot of money, you're battling a lot of political influence. And on one hand, it's kind of exciting and fascinating to watch, but on the other hand, it's kind of sickening too. Because when you see a judge and he says, boy, this will be an education for me, and then he just, after a couple hours looking at it, go, well, you know, the people of California voted for it, we'll just go forward with the rail. But think about all the other stuff, whether
Right,
before
we
or
deserve
against, it
everything
gets
we get.
overturned.
But it isn't what we voted for, what California voted
But if someone put it underground, and if you think about it, that might be one of the things they're coming into the community and they're forcing this on you, and then they might try to make a concession somehow, some way, oh, okay, well, we'll move it or we'll do this or whatever, and then they'll think everything is good. So their whole intention the whole time might be to put it underground, but being these are a bunch of knuckleheads that have zero clue what they're even representing, and believe me, that the representative from the state knew nothing about what they were there for. So it was incredible. And anyway, so that might be what's going on. But we got a couple more things, Pam.
Yep. We have applied for a DBA, so we will then be able to have a checking account. Anybody that wants to see our records right now, they're available in my office. We've also applied for a 501c3. Anybody that wants to email and add their email address onto our list needs to look in the Country Journal. I've got my phone number in there, my cell phone, and my email address. I've got other information over there on the clipboards. Please take a copy of whatever we've brought tonight. And another big issue that we just found out about is the health issue regarding valley fever. There's an agency or a group that's starting to do the research and commenting on the fact that once all this dirt work starts and all this boring, that the spore that lives in the ground that produces valley fever, it could end up being an epidemic here, which was shocking to me. And pretty much I think that's what I've got on the agenda tonight.
Pam, I have one more question for you. We've missed each other on the phone a few times, but I'm a person who's gotten a letter on one of the routes goes through my property. So I didn't respond to the letter, but now I'm getting phone calls. I see that you advised that we send a certified letter and we refuse to let them onto our property, but is this going to open me up to a lawsuit? Does anyone know what their next step is going to be? I'm just a tiny person, you know, I can't take on.
Well, we were advised by a local attorney that if you did not respond, and you know, Lillian can jump in here too, she's got the legal background. We were told that if we did not respond, that could be assumed that you were giving them permission. So, yeah, we put it out as an
Do I
alert.
have a legal right to not give them permission?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, you're saying that we're all automatically part of a lawsuit?
no, you're not.
Okay.
No. The
no
lawsuit
class
was, it was in the paper the other day, to repel all the different lawsuits, the state is scrambling, trying to figure out what can we do. So they came up with this, the state of California, and it's titled "First All Concerned." So
And
that
that
is,
document is over there too.
so anybody that would come forward on any issue related to this would be covered. But I think Deputy Short could maybe answer the whole. I mean, common sense. You would think that it's your property. Someone, if you're on the road and you leave the road, you're on someone's property. You should, in my thinking, you shouldn't have to have a sign that says no trespassing. We'd have a bunch of
Well,
signs
that's
everywhere.
for the surveying, but they want to do geological.
No, understood. Yeah, but Deputy Short might be able to explain this, no trespassing aspect.
Basically, trespassing is a, what you call an injury crime. However, people have to know that trespassing to be a crime, and they have to cause an injury. If I'm hiking and I walk across your property and there's no fences, no marking, and your house is 3 blocks down the road, and you come, hey, you're on my property. Well, there's no fence.
My
There's no
property
sign.
is fenced.
Now, in order to be in violation of trespassing, you have to say, you're on my property, you need to leave. If they refuse to leave or come back, then it's a violation. If they turn around and walk off, there is no violation. Now, if they've caused an injury to the property, cutting fences, and coming through, killing plant, different story.
If there's a sign posted, no trespassing.
Well, the penal code says in order to make it known, you have to publish a sign, it has to be worded a certain way, basically no trespassing for 602.2 or 602N, notify sheriff's department, it has to be every 20 feet across your fence.
So if they jump over your fence, you can't do anything?
Well, if it's posted,
So a fence is kind of mark your property.
You have to mark your
actually
property.
have
So
a
if
fence.
it's not posted and they jump over?
Yeah, but it doesn't.
If it's not posted and they jump over, it's not.
well, if there's no fence,
Huh?
if there's no fence, you need it.
No, if there's a fence and they jump over it.
Well, the law says you have to have a sign. So they're gonna say, well, we didn't know, we thought maybe the highway department put it in. Okay, so they get off my property.
One of the
But if you
neighbors,
tell them, get off my property, you're trespassing on my property, you need to leave. Then if they refuse to leave, you have to call us out. And then they have to explain why, and then we can cite them.
or maybe, people, because the neighbor took the Hardy clip, he didn't just put one sign up, he put 2 or 3, and he put them on posts. Now it's like a fortress, not only does he have a fence, but he's so freaked out about them coming on the property, that he posted all these on these signs all over the properties. I mean, besides no trespassing, there's ADT, you have security, and blah, blah, blah. It's a mess,
Well, you
but-
know, we had a problem because we filled out our census and sent it in, but our neighbor didn't. And they wanted to find out about our neighbor, and he had a big electronic gate with electronic, you know, so he couldn't jump over that gate. But my gate, he could jump over. And when he kept trying to buzz, and that our buzzer doesn't work out there, it's not, he jumped over our gate
Oh my.
and came to the door and was knocking, and I asked them what they wanted, and they said, well, I said, we're from the census, I sent mine in, well, we want to know about, I said, I have no idea, which is true, I don't know my neighbor right on the corner from me. But anyway, she just kept harassing me at the door, at the door, at the door. Finally, I called the sheriff, and he came out, and he said, well, if you had sent your census in, they would. I said, I sent mine in. They wanted to know about my neighbor, and they came twice. So.
Anyway, so that's what's happening there. So
Okay.
get some signs.
We believe the purpose of that letter was so that they could come onto your property to do their environmental studies without having to ask permission or access, whatever. And the draft DRR is coming out this fall sometime. It's been postponed. So when that happens, these two communities are going to have to get very serious about responding to that draft DRR. Because if I understand this right, and I think Jackie told me this, we have 3 weeks to respond, is that correct, Lillian?
45 days. I think it's like 45 days.
Oh, 45 days?
45 days.
Perfect.
The 45 days from the time they started. A lot of times, you know,
But
it's
still
still,
isn't.
it's very short.
I say we become very serious about praying that these lawsuits these guys lose in May. May's a big month.
That's another reason why we're here, is to talk about that EIR, to make people aware, get ready, get informed, get educated, and then hopefully we'll have something on our website regarding that so that people will know. And then, you know, just to challenge everybody here, if you go and talk to 10 people in the community or neighbors or something, they need to find out what that is, because you know, we'll do another talk here, whatever it takes, and we already have a real big town meeting in Acton. But the thing is, when that EIR comes out, that's
Drop dead time.
a serious part. And
Do you have somebody lined up to respond to that? an environmental,
Attorney or legal firm.
yeah.
We would like to use the same attorney that they're using up in Hanford, which is Stuart Flashman. He has been speaking to us without charging us at this point, and we're not trying to, get him too involved or too in debt. We just don't have the money. I mean, we're paying for this out of pocket. I mean, nobody wants to hear us talking about money, but seriously, it's gonna get to the point where we won't be able to do anymore. And I've talked to so many people in Acton and Acton Dulce who, every time the high-speed rail thing comes up, they say, it's not gonna happen in my lifetime. Why are you so paranoid about this? I mean, I've heard every story. Standing on the street corners getting these petitions signed last week, they were businesses, and we walked the streets, we went everywhere. People said, what? I thought the school district already took care of that. Or, it's going on the Metrolink tracks. Or, I mean, it's like, educate your community.
And when that EIR comes out or something, it'd be good for the youth too. They need to know what's going on. They need to know what you're battling. And there's so much disinformation from the environment. It's good for the environment or all this other garbage. It's not. I just told you, first 8-10 years will be diesel, and they're draining wetlands. A lot of the areas that we can't walk on now will be drained, and that's where the rail will go. So it's actually pretty fascinating in that regard. And for anybody who may think, and this is part 2, is for anybody, it's just the ignorance is astounding. The idea that it would travel on the same train tracks or even on the train tracks next to it, you have to remember this thing, they want it to go between 200 and 220 miles an hour. It can't carry freight. It's carrying people. There isn't any time to make the time frame from LA to San Francisco and load and unload something. It's for people. They got to get off, they got to get on, and it's got to go. The stops cannot be long. It will never carry freight. It can't. It's a means of making money. Yet people seem to think that'd be a great way to move something. It can't. It can't. You aren't going to be able to load and unload something like that. It's people.
Obviously, you guys can tell we're pretty passionate about this. It's going underneath my house, under my son, one of the routes, underneath my son's house, and it's going to destroy our schools. I'm sick over the fact that it's at the corner of one of the routes at the high school, right behind the junior high. We all volunteer in Acton to help our schools, and
Wouldn't they have to pay you to build another school? Would give you enough money?
No, they're talking about building a new school with this thing going right through.
Right, but see that could be one of the things that they'll do is say, okay, well, we'll put it in here and we'll build you a school or something. That's maybe a concession that they want to do or something. They're having to buy people's property, but my contention was not to keep going. I can go on for hours.
Yeah, we could stay here for 2
But
hours, and it's not.
My belief is, and it's my own, is they dumped it on. If you look at a map, and at one of the meetings I told them this, they chose, out of all the land, they chose to put it right through the middle of our community and right by the schools. I don't believe that it was ever, I disagree because they had to fight it, but I don't believe they ever wanted it there. I believe they wanted us to fight so that they could move it in another portion of Acton, and then you could sit there and go,
Everybody be happy.
right? It's not really that hard. It's not really that hard to think about. Now, somebody could totally disagree that you're right, and like I said, it's just my opinion. But it's I think this is what they do. These people, they think they're really smart, and they think that everybody else is stupid. But it's just, it's like I said, it's really kind of fascinating. The people in the group or whenever I always say, man, this is kind of cool. It's kind of fascinating, and they go, what's the matter with you?
That's
But
what I